Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Tim Gordon. I've got a really exciting interview. I'm here with Steve Hayes, the guy who started it all, one of the founders of ACT. Steve, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here, man.
Happy to be here in the days before the holidays and share some time with you.
Right on. Thanks. So, Steve, I'm really pumped. You're coming to Toronto in April of 2016 from the 11th to the 13th. And then back to back, you're going to be in Montreal in Quebec. April of 2016. This is really exciting.
It's exciting to me just to see if my old body can do that 6 days in a row. But I'm happy to be coming back to Canada, and that part of Canada where I haven't been there for several years. And I know the interest has grown, the community's grown, and people are looking for additional training experiences. So I hope I can do something worthwhile.
Great. So for both of these cities, you're doing 3 days back to back. There's a 1-day intro. What can people expect if they've never been to an ACT training before? What's going to happen in this 1-day intro?
Well, I try to get people in touch with the model, but not just in an intellectual way. I want them to sort of feel the space of the work and see its relevance to themselves personally. And, in a 1 day, you're not going to go out ready to be delivering ACT to clients, but you could have an idea of a few things that you might do even, but especially because you've explored some of those spaces yourself and you've kind of wrapped your head around the larger set of philosophical, conceptual kind of issues. It's a change. It's a big change for some people, depending on where they come from, to shift from a, fix people because they have these specific syndromes, and we're going to lay a protocol on top of them, or a kind of client-focused but very general model of one of social support and power and general clinical kind of skills to one that is a model that has a scientific base of the specific processes that we're targeting on the one hand. On the other hand, we're not going to treat people as if they're walking syndromes, and we're not going to lay protocols on them. And in research, sometimes we have to, but it's not one size fits all. It's a matter of dealing with the individual needs of the people right in front of us. So I think people will have, even on 1 day, the spirit of the work, what it means to look at things contextually and functionally, and what it means to try to apply evidence-based principles with evidence-based procedures for the problems and the hope for prosperity of people, instead of more of a one-size-fits-all. Here's how to do it. Here's the technique to follow to fit X, Y, or Z syndrome.
And I've got to interrupt you, Steve, because you said the magic words there. Like, I remember being a student, when somebody says to me evidence-based, what comes to mind, I imagine someone dropping a manual in my lap and saying, do this. And I've been to many of your workshops, and you are not like that at all.
Yeah, I'm not, and and it creates some difficulties, to be honest, because part of it is that the researchers came up with these ideas. It wasn't the clinicians that came up with these protocol ideas, and they have this idea that they're going to sort of like puppet master with marionettes, make clinicians follow these manuals in a lockstep way. It's not real. Plus, it's not as effective. We actually know that it's not as effective. We've done the randomized trials of empowering clinicians to use both their clinical experience, but also what the science suggests about the individual needs of people, and to select methods to fit moments and the purposes of the people that you're working with, versus these kinds of packages that are laid on top of people, and you get better outcomes. So, if you're going to be guided by data, you have to be guided by those data too. And we've really positioned ourselves in the 35 years of development work in ACT to be part of not even a transdiagnostic approach, because it goes beyond even the classic word diagnosis, but a more functional analytic approach that meets the individual needs of people with evidence-based procedures linked to evidence-based processes. That's a different vision. And there's very, very few people out there who are singing that song. We can do it. We have the data to do it. We've got 1,500 studies on psychological flexibility, ACT, and these components. 1,500. So it's a big number. Just the randomized trials now, we're going to go up over 200 probably this year. And it allows us to come into even the introductory workshop with a message that I think will deeply resonate to people who care about the deeper issues of the human lives that they're working with and for, of the lives that they're serving.
That's fantastic, Steve. Just to round out this video, I want to let our viewers know, I mean, I've been in a room a lot with this guy here that I'm on Skype with. I've seen you do many workshops, starting in, I think, about 2011, the end of 2011, early 2012 is when I started going to your workshops. Not one of those workshops have I not left. Bit teary-eyed, feeling really invigorated and just really empowered. So what happens in these intro ACT workshops, Steve? Tell the uninitiated.
I think we're trying to, the way I usually say it is it's head, heart, and hands, but of the three, the most important is heart. And the evidence-based community sometimes has tried to lead with the head and then go directly to hands and forget the heart of it. And you mentioned that people are emotionally moved often in these workshops. There are many forms of therapy that are less evidence-based, that play that card without backing it up by the scientific evidence that allows you to know that what you're doing is really helpful to people and to make those reads to know that you're making progress. And so on the one hand, we're not just getting in there doing a charismatic kind of show or with the idea that tears per hour means clinical wisdom. It's not true on the one hand. On the other hand, if you really have the idea that we're going to create a model that looks at the functioning of people and what produces trajectories that are positive or ones that are negative, it turns out the same set of processes that we're dealing with, these psychological flexibility processes, can predict both those trajectories. That's based on the psychology of the normals, based on the idea of just how people function. The last time I checked, clinicians are people too. And so if it doesn't really apply to you, why do you think it would apply to others? And one of the exciting things about the work that we're doing is we have now 6 or 7 randomized trials showing that clinicians who are trained in ACT actually get a sense of professional empowerment and lower rates of stress, greater sense of professional accomplishment. It helps trainees and students walk through their training programs more successfully. Yeah. That's been shown to social workers, with physicians, with psychologists, with drug and alcohol counselors. So, when we deal with these kind of processes that liberate human beings, they liberate us too. And then we can lean in a little harder with people when we kind of know the heart of the work and we've learned the head and the hands of the work. So knowing that what we're doing is important for people. And even if they're quite avoidant or, dancing away from what it is that would really work in this situation, we can sit with that inside the knowledge that we've got, that profound change is possible and that we have something profoundly useful to do with our clients if they'll give us a chance to do it and if we have the technical skill to do it. And not all clients will. Some people will say no, and that's okay. The door's still open. They can come back, or we hope they find another way forward. But it's not that the ACT is a panacea or anything like it, but it's part of a larger community and strategy that I think is showing that it's progressive. We're doing a better and better job of being able to fit these methods to the needs of people and to put them in all the different places where human beings go, where they need support and empowerment. And actually that includes in our professional training. So people who come to the workshop will go out, I think, with more of a sense of freedom even inside their professional paths, in addition to the sense of having important things to do with the clients that they serve.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve. We're really excited to have you in Toronto and in Montreal. If you're watching this video, go ahead, check down below for a link to join this workshop with Steve. There's a 1-day intro and a 2-day advanced skills. we'll see you in Toronto and Montreal.
Yep, I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks,
Hope
Steve.
to see you there.